Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be showcasing some very fun battles in the Love Cup featuring my XL LEDIAN. XL LEDIAN in a previous season did get access to Dynamic Punch, but unfortunately, it still felt like it came up short versus the Open Great League. However, with this Love Cup meta, XL LEDIAN finally has a meta where it can shine. I paired it up with an Alomomola lead and an Ariados safe switch, a team created by Elodicolo, and was able to go on a 9-1 run. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out XL LEDIAN in action in the Love Cup. Hopping to the first match, leading Alomomola into Galarian Slowbro. Pretty neutral lead. I'm going to stay in this lead to start. I want to farm up some energy, tank a move on the bulky Alomomola, and then I'm going to safe switch into Ariados. This way I can check and see if they have a good counter to bug types in the back, and my opponent sends in Electrode. So I am very happy to see the Electrode here, as my LEDIAN in the back would definitely not appreciate going up against it. This is only enough for a discharge, so I know I don't have to shield here, as discharge, especially after the debuff, not going to be doing a lot of damage. I'm going to overfarm quite a bit with Ariados and fire off lunge number 2. Opponent lets it through, and I'm able to win switch. That is quite nice. I do have quite a bit of energy here. Opponent is going to send in the Galarian Slowbro, and I'm firing off this lunge. Lunge is going to get the shield from the opponent. They can't farm down here, so they end up making a catch, catching lunge onto Medicham. Bad news for the Medicham, however, is that Medicham has an absolutely terrible time going up against XL LEDIAN. XL LEDIAN is absurdly tanky. They fire off the Psychic, and look, that just does absolutely no damage. This thing has an awesome stat product. The moveset, unfortunately, isn't the best, but since I am running Aerial Ace, I'm able to hit for super effective damage. I can no-shield this. No one move is going to KO here. They go for the Sludge Bomb. I'm going to fire off the Aerial Ace, and at this point, I have a move loaded on Alomomola. They can't shield it. I farm down, and that is a good game. We've got mirror leads in the next match, as my opponent leads Alomomola as well. I'm going to play this out similar to how I did in the first game. I'm going to stay in this matchup, farm up energy, tank a move, and then I'm going to save all this energy for later and safe switch into Ariados. I need to check and see if they have a Charizard in the back. I send in Ariados, opponent not switching out. This tells me they don't have a hard counter to Ariados in the back, which is good news for me. I fire off the lunge. They're going to save that energy for later, reset the debuff, and send in Lickitung. Now, Lickitung does have a lot of neutral play versus his team, so I'm going to go for the lunges as soon as I get them. I want to lower their attack as much as possible, so that way I can make this Lickitung a lot less deadly. They fire off Body Slam number 1, I'm able to tank it, and it looks like they're not going to be able to farm me down, which is really good news. I'm able to go for lunge number 2, and they're going to be forced to throw their energy with a Body Slam to avoid getting hit with the third lunge. They're now double debuffed. I have a very tanky Pokemon with XL LEDIAN, and I'm just going to send in the LEDIAN. Even if they get to moves here, that's perfectly fine. LEDIAN's tanky, they're double debuffed. Body Slam, barely going to be doing any damage, as now I can commit to the farm down. They make it to Body Slam number 2. I'm just going to let this through, and then we'll have to see, do they have a counter for LEDIAN in the back? Moment of truth here. Opponent sends in Alomomola, and that tells me they're probably weak to LEDIAN in the back, in which case I want to make sure that I'm over farming so I always have a lot of energy. I'm able to grab a shield, so I'm going to match shields here and then look to over farm. So I am going to farm up quite a bit, as I do want to leave this matchup with a lot of energy. I'm firing off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace lands onto the Alomomola. LEDIAN gets the farm down. In the back, it's Medicham, and this game should be over. Medicham, of course, these counters are double resisted, so they are not going to be able to farm down the LEDIAN. I'm able to land the Aerial Ace. Now I can just grab the shield, and the energy we saved at the beginning of the match comes in handy, as Hydro Pump takes care of the Medicham and secures the win. Moving into the next match, we've got a terrible lead, leading Alomomola into Confusion Slowbro. Confusion Slowbro can beat both Alomomola and my Ariados, so this is not the Pokemon that I was hoping to see. I'm just going to farm up with Alomomola, tank the move, save all my energy for later, and send in Ariados. These Confusions are absolutely tearing through the Ariados, but I can lower their attack and hit for super effective damage with the lunge. Lunge will draw a shield from my opponent. My opponent does have enough for the Psychic here, so I will commit the shield. If they stay in, I will be able to make it to another lunge here. Opponent gotta save the Slowbro for later and instead bring in the Lickitung to absorb the damage. I'm going to fire off lunge after lunge into the Lickitung here. I will be able to make it to lunge number 2, and this should get the Lickitung below half health. However, health on my Ariados is rapidly diminishing. Ariados able to make it to a last second cross poison. I decide I want to save the Ariados for later, so I'm going to aggressive switch back into the Alomomola. They're double debuffed here. Can I tank a Power Whip? Power Whip, barely not enough to KO. Alomomola can hang on, make it to the Psychic, and Psychic will KO the Lickitung. Opponent, do they send in the Slowbro? Yes, they do. They want that extra confusion, and now it's XL Ledian time. My opponent is at a charge move. I'm going to expend the final shield here and hope that I'm good versus whatever they have in the back. And it turns out that XL Ledian is going to be very good in the back as they have a Medicham. I'm firing off the Aerial Ace and I'm able to grab the final shield from my opponent. Most Medichams in this cup are running Power Up Punch and Psychic. My opponent goes for the Psychic and it's going to land. I continue to farm up with my XL Ledian here, firing off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to get them low, continue to farm, switch, and we catch the Psychic onto our Ariados. The exact play we needed to win the game, as now I can just farm up a ton of energy with XL Ledian. This is only a power-up punch that's double resisted, that does no damage to Ledian. In comes the Slowbro, it's met with the loaded Aerial Ace, down goes Slowbro, in comes the Medicham, down goes the Medicham, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, this time the Medicham's on the lead. I safe switch into Ariados and my opponent responds with Lickitung. The Medicham Lickitung core does appear to be pretty popular in these early days of the Love Cup. I'm able to fire off an early lunge, and honestly, if I can just get some debuffs off on this Lickitung, Ariados may have a chance to flip this. Body Slam lands, I'm going for the lunge right away, as I do not want to take any unnecessary damage before I'm able to get that second debuff. My opponent lags a little bit there, so I stop attacking for a little bit. Hopefully they were able to catch back up. They fire off the Body Slam, I'm able to tank that, and I'm going for lunge number 3, just continuing to apply pressure onto the Lickitung. Lickitung is going to let that through, and Ariados is able to win switch. In the back, my opponent has Druddigon, and I'm going to fire off this last second Cross Poison. Cross Poison gets no shielded, and I'm actually going to send in Alomomola. They bring in Medicham. Now I can send in my XL Ledian. My opponent is actually running Ice Punch, not the typical moveset for this cup, and definitely a bit of an unfortunate spot for me to be in, as Ice Punch can actually hit for super effective. Aerial Ace is going to grab a shield from the opponent, but honestly, I should be still in a pretty okay spot. I do have a shield advantage, so I can commit the shield, and I can farm up, go for another Aerial Ace, and continue to apply pressure onto this Medicham. Aerial Ace gets the final shield, and all I had to do to win this game was get the final shield. Now I can just let this go, because Alomomola is an absolute menace when shields are down. My opponent is going to fire off a Night Slash. They're hoping for a boost, but a boost does not arrive. I continue to farm. Opponent tries to force CMB, but I go for the extra waterfall. I will commit the shield there. It looks like I can actually waterfall down the dragon type, leave with the hydro pump, and this should be getting rid of that Medicham. Down goes the Medi, and that's game over. Moving into the next match, looking for the 5-0 set, but we see another Core Breaker on the lead, leading into another Slowbro. This Slowbro is running Confusion, so this is going to be a tough fight. I'm going to stay in with my Alomomola, and my opponent will fire off the Psychic. I'm going to save the energy for later, do what I did before, and send in Ariados. These Confusions hurt, but I can debuff that Confusion damage with this lunge. My opponent kind of has to shield the lunge here, so they will commit a shield. They can get a shield back with the Psychic, but honestly, I'm in a pretty okay spot because I've gotten that Slowbro to about half health. Opponent is now going to send in their Lickitung, so this is looking like the exact team that I played a couple games ago. So being able to get rid of this Lickitung will be quite nice, as that then clears the way for my XL Ledian to sweep versus the Slowbro and Medicham in the back. I'm going to send in a Alomomola, and I can take advantage of the energy from earlier in the game. I fire off the Hydro Pump. That gets the Lickitung low. Lickitung will fire off a charge move here, and I'm just going to let this go and trust in my Ledian. They go for the Body Slam. It's debuffed. That does not KO. I'm able to save that for later in the match. In the back, they do have the Medicham. I'm farming up. Oh, they did build up to the Ice Punch. I don't have to shield the first, though, so I'm going to let this through. And they bait with a Power-Up Punch. This tells me They're running Power Up, Punch, and Psychic. Even though they're boosted, I still don't have to shield the next one, so I'm not going to. I very comfortably live a +1 Psychic. I'm going to be able to grab the final shield here with Aerial Ace, and I'm just not going to shield, because I don't have to shield here. So I am going to let this through. Opponent baits again. Oh no, they're farming up, trying to make it to the Psychic. They bait twice just for their Psychic to be caught on the 1 HP Alomomola. In comes the Slowbro. I'm firing off the Dynamic Punch here. It is resisted, but it will KO. And the opponent concedes the match. We're now on a 6-game win streak with the team, looking to make it 7, but this lead is definitely not helping as we lead into another Slowbro, but this one is Shadow. My opponent will fire off the Psychic. As with before, I'm just going to tank the damage, save my energy for later, and bring in Ariados. These Shadow Confusions hurt so much on Ariados. Ariados is going to fire off the Lunge. Lunge gets no shielded, and down goes the Slowbro, but they have another Slow Brother in the back as they have Shadow Slowking. Things going from bad to worse as my Alomomola does not really have anywhere to run. I'm going to wait the clock here as unfortunately my switch timer is still stuck. And then I'm going to send in LEDIAN in the back. They have Medicham though, so maybe there is a chance. We'll have to see what is the Medicham running for its moveset. Medicham is running Ice Punch, not what I was hoping to see. I'm farming up here. I switch into Alomomola I was hoping to catch, but no such luck. And now I'm in a pretty tough spot. I went for the Psychic. My opponent is able to farm all the way down, and they just leave with so much loaded energy. I will commit the shield on the Ice Punch, but they have 2. I go for the Aerial Ace, but LEDIAN loses CMP to Medicham. One of the few things that does actually lose CMP to Medi. And at this point, unfortunately, this game is looking like it's over, as they can just let that go. Confusion down with the Shadow Slowking, and that's game over. We get an opportunity for redemption in the next match, as we see the same leads as last game, Alomomola into the Shadow Slowbro. To start with, I'm going to play it a similar way. I'm going to tank the Psychic, bank the energy, send in Ariados, and we'll see what my opponent chooses to do from here. I'm farming up and going for the Lunge. Let's grab an early shield. If they decide to let this go, it's going to KO, so my opponent does decide to commit the shield. Here, in case they threw the move, I fired off the Cross Poison, but instead, they just went for the farm down, but I'm actually able to grab both shields. That is quite nice, as now I've set up my LEDIAN with a 2-0 shield advantage. I'm going to send in LEDIAN. Opponent is going to pivot into the Shadow Slowking, and this looks like the exact same team as last time, but now with shield advantage. Let's see what LEDIAN can do. Psychic is going to get shielded. I'm going for the full farm down here. Slowking cannot make another move, and I leave with so much energy. In comes the Shadow Slowbro. I was looking to catch, but unfortunately, I wasn't quite able to make that happen. LEDIAN has so much energy. I'm going to be firing off this Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to be getting the Slowbro low. I get the farm down. Is it the Medicham? Yes, it is. And this is just game over, as I'm very close to the back-to-back Aerial Aces. We can throw Aerial Ace number 1, we can throw Aerial Ace number 2, and we have the move on Alomomola, so we get the triple combo play, destroying the Medicham and securing the win. Hopping into the final match, picking up a great lead, Alomomola into Charizard. Finally, not a Slowbro. Opponent save switches into a triple Legacy Seaking. Now, this is a bit of an awkward Pokemon for my team to see. I'm going to stay in with Alomomola, tank whatever they throw, and fire off the Psychic. They actually bait with the Icy Wind here. Icy Wind, of course, not going to do a lot of damage, but will lower my attack. So I'm going to grab a shield from the opponent, and now I'm going to send in Ariados. Ariados probably going to get debuffed by the Icy Wind, but honestly, I'm not too worried about that. Ariados is absurdly spammy thanks to Poison Sting. I'm going to fire off a Lunge, so I can debuff them as well. Lunge is going to land, getting them low. Ariados continuing to farm. They make it to another Icy Wind, but I should be able to tank this. Icy Wind gets me low, but I'm able to double up on Cross Poisons, and now I guarantee Wind Switch advantage. Cross Poison gets no shielded. Opponent going to send back in the Charizard, but they're not going to get a lot of farm. I intentionally tried to take as much damage as possible on the Ariados to limit the amount of farm the Zard gets. Our timers were a bit decent, so I will fully wait my clock, send in Alomomola, and in the back, they have Lickitung, and now it's time for LEDIAN to show its worth. A matchup like this is exactly why having Dynamic Punch is so helpful. Ledian able to tank that Body Slam and absorb the lick damage as well and go for Dynamic Punch number 1. Dynamic Punch will grab the opponent's final shield. Opponent has a lot of energy. They're going to fire off a Body Slam, but I still don't have to shield this. XL Ledian is the definition of bulk. I make it to the Dynamic Punch, winning CMP over the Lickitung. Dynamic Punch, big damage onto the Lickitung, and I can just save my shields for a Lomomola. They undercharge, in comes a Lomomola. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. All in all, as a person who's had an XL Ledian for quite a long time and has been waiting for a meta where it can finally shine, I am so happy that this current rotation of the Love Cup finally feels like a meta where XL Ledian users can use it and actually have some success. This thing, once you get Charizard or the Fire type out of the way, can put in a lot of work in the endgame with the combination of Aerial Ace for the Medicham and Dynamic Punch for the Lickitung. XL Ledian can shut down some of the most toxic cores in the Love Cup. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.